welcome back to another episode of another walkthrough where today we'll be walking through specifically our latest demo app that utilizes Jockey 1.0 called the Jockey Superfan vertical feed. And so essentially what this app is at a very high level is it sort of combines all of our models. It combines Jockey, Pegasus, and Marengo. So specifically you can see here, Marengo is more for time-based search within your index content. Pegasus, of course, generates metadata, but Jockey, we use it in a very specific way in this application to have cross-episode reasoning. And so before I dive deep into what each of these models do, at a very high level, the application we built is essentially a Superfans-like application. For example, let's say you're a huge fan of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. You might have watched the show several times, but sometimes you do want to find those precise moments. Maybe when the characters have a huge turning point, or maybe when they have a heated argument. As a superfan who wants to dive deeper into the series and get not only AI insights, but find that specific timestamp and have almost short clips of what happens in the scene and the most dramatic moments in the entire show, this is where cross-episode reasoning really comes in. And so you can imagine this is a very powerful tool, whether you're a content creator or you're a streaming platform that's looking to take long-form content and make it into something like a TikTok short or an Instagram reel. This tool can automatically process hundreds of hours of videos and help you find the most important moments. And in the past, that's been a very difficult task because if you think about other VLLMs, they only take in one video at a time, or you can put in maybe several videos at a time. But to, for example, like we've done here, ingest like 20 plus episodes of 2-hour episodes, that is a very difficult task and a very expensive task for most VLLMs. But by utilizing Jockey specifically for cross-episode reasoning, we've been able to create not only this sort of TikTok shorts creator, but we've been able to build a very explainable ranking algorithm behind it. And so I'll just go over what the application is first. So you can see here, there's an Explore tab with different very important clips throughout the entire series. And you can change sort of your persona here between drama addict. If I change the fashion obsessed, you can see some of these clips will change to be more recommended for someone who's more obsessed with fashion. So for example,
I'm just confused on what Trixie is.
Welcome to Trixie Motel.
yeah. And then another one here. Yeah, so you can tell both of those clips that were ranked very highly, 85 and 77 respectively, they were both pretty focused on fashion-related trends. And you can also view some of the raw data that Jockey actually generated for this. But there's also a shorts feature here.
Ooh, welcome!
Where you can essentially watch all the Explore tab clips, but in a scrollable format.
That we weren't going to go through this again. Here they go.
Ooh, welcome!
But more importantly, it also shows the reasoning behind the ranking. So the one we saw with the fashion obsessed clip that was ranked 85, one of the highest ranked clips, we can see that the segment highlights, all of this explanation, by the way, is generated by both Pegasus and Jockey. Specifically this part, this explanation, score breakdown, this is all generated by Pegasus. The only part that's generated by Jockey for the short clips is this Jockey boost here. And so what's really going on here is two different things. So what we have is a deterministic ranking algorithm where we have category matches. So typically for persona or for a user's metadata, they'll have things like fashion, they'll have things like drama, luxury. And so we essentially have Pegasus have an enum set and see if it can find matching categories. And here it's 100% category match because there's both luxury and fashion, which is exactly what this user wants. So this contributes to the score. Persona moment fit, intensity fit. So do they like clips that are very emotional, or do they not like as emotional clips? That's also something we took into account for our ranking algorithm. Persona moment fit is more on the specifics. So here, the fashion obsessed person wanted things like designer clothes, jewelry, moment, brand callouts, but they didn't get all that. They only got one of those. That was found by Pegasus within this specific clip. And so here's just a summary of the clip generated by Pegasus. And Jockey Boost here is actually, I think, one of the coolest parts of this application is that Jockey actually went ahead, combed through the entire series, and deemed this to be a very important turning point of the show. And so that really matters in the context of Superfan, because although there might be a lot of clips that are related to fashion, a fashion-obsessed fan that knows the show doesn't particularly want to see every single clip. They want to see clips that are important in the context of the entire show, considering all the characters, all the arcs, all the drama that has built up over all 20 episodes. And Jockey reasons through that and has determined that this clip is important. And the reason why it actually justifies here, Trixie Mattel's arrival matters in the Real Housewives because this trip arc leans hard into camp while the cast relationships are fracturing underneath. So very important clip in the context of the entire series. And so at a very high level, that's what this Explore and Shorts tab is. You can actually look way more in depth into the actual ranking algorithm and the weights we use to get this. So the raw video content is ingested into Marengo and Pegasus. Then we ingest the entire series into Jockey. We tell Jockey to find the most important moments in the show and add that Jockey boost weighting back into the overall scoring that we saw above. And that's how we create the explainable ranking. But there's also a cool little neat feature here that's also called the Jockey Spotlight. So it's sort of another way you can utilize Jockey's cross-episode reasoning capabilities. If, for example, a superfan has a very specific question about a character, or they have a very specific question about how will like a character arc develops, or why this person started hating this person, they can actually rewatch all those favorite moments and query it using natural language with Jockey. And so just as an example, we can go to Lisa Barlow here. And so I will cut back when this finishes loading. Okay, great. So that's finished loading. And just to be fully transparent, this did take around 2 to 3 minutes. And so it's a little longer than compared to like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, but you do have to remember this is combing through around 40 plus hours of video. So as you can see here, I searched up Lisa Barlow. It gives a summary of basically the entire character arc, and we can just watch some of the clips here. This is what it considers as a season defining moment. Dinner party chaos swallows Lisa.
Character, Lisa. I have never lied.
I love Whitney, but this is what drives me crazy.
Yeah, so as you can tell, very, very dramatic moment there. And then if we refresh this page, we can also go to the second mode, which is called moment discovery. And so Actor Spotlight is of course trying to follow that specific character's most season defining moments, if you're a super fan of that specific actor. But sometimes you want to trace more complex questions, like a storyline question. So we can ask something like, when did Lisa and Miranda's friendship start to fracture? And if we search that, we can see, again, a summary of the entire storyline, but we can also see the whole entire story trail generated by Jockey. And the way we did this was essentially through structured outputs and having Jockey define things like the origin, the build-up, tension, and turning point, as well as the aftermath. And so, for example, I guess we could just go to the tension.
No, if I were to go for the jugular and talk about the rumors and nastiness about her, I will have to do that. Do you know what? You want me to go there with her husband? I can go.
Yeah, so very tense moment, but you can see Jockey works pretty well with its cross-episode reasoning. These are all actually from different episodes, especially especially one of these like first episodes. I believe this is from a different episode in the series. So yeah, you can see how powerful this can be for a variety of different applications. There's very few VLMs out there on the market that have this powerful cross-episode reasoning, I would say. And You can do this to build a bunch of different applications like this one, like Spotlight, Light Explorer. And yeah, so I highly encourage you guys to visit the repository here. There will also be a blog in the description, as well as the deployed application linked inside the GitHub repository as well.